Imagine a time where the righteous found themselves at a crossroads of the unthinkable. Choose your God or your lives. It was at this time the Maccabee brothers stepped onto the stage of history, a band of courageous men bound by a fierce determination to stand against the mighty Greek Empire in the name of their God. Outnumbered and facing insurmountable odds, their story unfolds as inspiration, urging all who hear it never to surrender, no matter how unjust the circumstances may seem. In the era of the Jews, a formidable foe emerged. The Greeks, whose ascent to power had been foretold centuries earlier by the prophet Daniel. This tale unfolds against the backdrop of an ancient prophecy, where Daniel, blessed by God with a rare gift, found himself facing a daunting task. The mighty King Nebuchadnezzar, fueled by frustration, had decreed the execution of all his astrologers, magicians, and wizards, blaming their inability to decipher his enigmatic dream. On the eve of the impending doom, Daniel, with unwavering faith, sought divine intervention through fervent prayers to the Most High God. Miraculously, his prayers were answered, and armed with newfound understanding, Daniel halted the executioner's blade, sparing the lives of the king's wise men. Thus began a chapter in history where the threads of prophecy and the courage of one man intertwined, setting the stage for the unfolding drama of the Jews against the rising Greek Empire. As Daniel stood in the imposing presence of King Nebuchadnezzar, he embarked on interpreting the prophetic vision. The dream unveiled a colossal statue, made up of precious metals representing the rise and fall of mighty empires. With vivid detail, Daniel recounted the golden head symbolizing Nebuchadnezzar himself, the sovereign ruler of Babylon. As the narrative unfolded, the silver chest and arms foretold the ascendance of the Persians, followed by a belly and thighs of bronze representing the Greeks and the indomitable Alexander the Great. In the final chapter of this prophetic vision, the Romans emerged as the formidable force that would shape the course of history. The prophecy by Daniel spoke of a vision of a majestic male goat bearing a single imposing horn. This creature emerged from the west and was seen running across the earth, symbolic of the relentless might of the Grecian Empire. Later, Daniel continued with more prophecies, with a vision of a goat, which was Greece, and the magnificent horn atop of the goat's head, which marked the ascent of the first Greek ruler, now known to us as Alexander the Great. In the realm of warfare, King Alexander stood as a commanding force, engaged in numerous battles where the kings of the earth met their fate at the edge of his sword. His relentless pursuit led to the conquest of numerous nations, and under his strategic brilliance, the Grecian Empire expanded to the farthest reaches of the known world. Yet as the echoes of war faded into the quiet aftermath, a different adversary emerged: sickness. Alexander, the mighty warrior, found himself ensnared by an ailment that whispered the inevitability of his demise. In the solemnity of this realization, he beckoned his most esteemed officers, lifelong companions from the days of youth, to his side. A profound decision unfolded as Alexander, with a gaze fixed on his mortality, chose to divide his colossal kingdom. This pivotal moment confirmed the ancient prophecy spoken by Daniel, a vision of a goat with a great horn shattered and replaced by 4 new horns. The once unstoppable ruler, who conquered the world in a span of 12 years, succumbed to the hands of fate. Among the 4 officers whom Alexander had appointed to govern, a notably malevolent figure emerged, one whose cruelty surpassed even that of the formidable King Alexander. This man, known as Antiochus, arrogantly dubbed himself Epiphanes, a title meaning God manifest. His ascent to power commenced in the 137th year of the Greek kingdom, marking the beginning of his oppressive rule. Antiochus extended his dominion over segments of both Egypt and Israel, casting a dark shadow upon these lands. During this time, Antiochus Epiphanes had a desire to impose Hellenistic, or Greek, culture upon the world. While this cultural shift brought about positive aspects such as enhanced commerce and socio-economic development, it also carried with it elements of wickedness. The shadow of idol worship and sexual immorality loomed large, casting darkness over the world that Antiochus was shaping. For the Jews, these foreign customs also entailed the violation of their sacred laws, leading to the breaking of age-old traditions of their ancestors. In this era, treacherous individuals emerged from among the Jews, driven by a desire to forge alliances with the Greeks. In their pursuit, they envisioned a more comfortable way of life, a stark contrast to the hardships endured under Babylonian and Persian captivity. The Jews, now subject to Greek dominion, found themselves grappling with a lifestyle far from the comfort they sought. These deceitful figures were enticed by the allure of worldly pleasures. Forsaking the path of patient endurance and faith in their God, who promised a better world to come. These rebellious men, with their deceptive ways, held sway over their fellow Jews, using their influence to steer many other Jews away from the commandments of the Most High God. As alliances were forged and loyalties shifted, the once unified community found itself divided, torn between the pursuit of worldly comforts in exchange for Gentile paganism and the steadfast adherence to their heavenly commandments. The king found favor in the proposed alliance forged by these nefarious individuals from Judah. With the approval of King Antiochus, plans were set in motion for the construction of an exercise venue in Jerusalem, aligning with Gentile customs. This place, however, became a breeding ground for all manner of abominable practices. A troubling transformation unfolded as some Jews abandoned the sacred custom of circumcision for embracing a path of evil. Profanity within the Holy Temple became commonplace, with the once unlawful act of consuming and sacrificing swine now adopted by rebellious factions in Israel. After an absence of 5 years, King Antiochus returned to Jerusalem, where he arrogantly walked into the sacred temple, openly mocking the customs of the Hebrews and callously seizing the gold and silver ornaments. In a brutal display of power, the king unleashed a merciless onslaught, slaughtering many Israelites. The once hallowed halls of the temple bore witness to the desecration wrought by the king's disdain for the customs and lives of the Jews. 2 years elapsed, and the king, wielding the authority of his throne, dispatched a collector to the city of Judah with a singular mission: to extract taxes from the Jews. The arrival of the Greek collector in Jerusalem, accompanied by a formidable army, painted a deceitful facade of peace and mercy. However, the veneer quickly shattered as innocent blood once again stained the streets, compelling many Jews to flee their homeland, seeking refuge in the unforgiving wilderness. The king's decree, resonating with a sinister one-world order, cast a dark pall over the Israelite way of life. For them, it translated to the prohibition of burnt offerings in the temple, the ceasing of Sabbath observance, and the abandonment of holy days. The holy temple itself became a sacrilegious ground as idols were erected for worship, a direct assault on the sacred traditions of the Jews. King Antiochus, driven by a desire to erase the Hebrew identity, sought to obliterate their laws which had long served as a beacon of preservation for the people. The consequence of disobedience was severe. Death awaited those who dared defy the king's decree. It was a sorrowful time for the children of Israel, as the oppressive rule of Antiochus Epiphanes plunged the Jews into a dark period. King Antiochus, driven by a malevolent agenda, established overseers within the kingdom of Judah with the sinister aim of coercing the Jews into forsaking their laws. In a disturbing exchange, the Jews were made to offer sacrifices of pigs and unclean animals to idols revered by the Gentiles. The Greeks, agents of this calculated destruction, orchestrated the burning of numerous Hebrew scrolls and books. More insidiously, they engaged in the repainting of images of the revered prophets, transforming them into likenesses resembling Greek idols. This deliberate campaign of cultural annihilation, masterminded by King Antiochus, sought to colonize the Jews by erasing their heritage and severing the connection to their ancestors.